first things with as far as update on injury, Derek Elston's going to miss tomorrow because he had a surgery on a fracture in his nose yesterday. He sustained it last week and was able to play on it, and then we decided to get it done yesterday, so he'll miss tomorrow night, which would give him enough time to be able to get better over Christmas, and then be able to play with us as soon as we start playing again right after Christmas, and be able to practice with us. He was at practice today, great spirits, shooting around, things like that. So we certainly don't anticipate anything more than just a couple of days with him. As far as the game, I think our guys have continued to show that they're locked in, that their focus is really strong, and I'm very proud of them for that. And because practice has got a lot of energy, it's got an edge to it, but there's a real workman-like, business-like attitude with the way that they come in there and work to improve. So I'm happy with all that. And tomorrow night we're going to go against a team that's an outstanding offensive rebounding team. They had 31 offensive rebounds in the game already this year. They can really shoot the ball. They have an excellent shooter, number 15, that can really shoot it. They've got a go-to guy in the post, and it's going to be a team that again, we just got to come out and establish how we're going to play. And that's what our guys did the other night. I think that's the most important thing, and that's what we've been focused on.
Real quick on Derek, you said he suffered in practice. You just catch an elbow or something like that?
Yeah, it was in a drill. Yeah, it was just errant. So it was just just in the middle of going for a ball.
Tijon?
Did Tijon come back?
No Tijon. No.
What did you find that you guys have been like correctable things that you found after going
Well,
through
we
the
haven't
tape?
spent a lot of time on the correcting as much as just trying to get better with it. I mean, I think there's certain things that we see as far as offensive moves, defensive rotations, things with the zone and things of that nature. But really more than anything else, it's just about playing with that energy and making sure that we're moving the ball the way that we did, and continuing to not think that we're going to become a team that's going to try to go one-on-one, or a team that's going to try to hold the ball. Just continue to move it and seeing the value of it.
As we get close to the end of the non-conference schedule, what do you feel have been the biggest keys to you guys playing as well as you have, as consistently as you have?
Well, I think they're maturing. I think it's a very underrated concept, and I know I use that term a lot, but I think it's when you have practices like we have now. I mean, that's why it's so important. Their focus has been really good. They want to get better. I think the team unity has been very, very strong. I think that's got a lot to do with it. We haven't had bad practices, and I think when you don't have bad practices and you have guys that are continuing to get better, you got a chance to improve even inside of the games. And I think that's been a big part of it. I mean, every game there's been a period or two where things had to change, and when they got the momentum, they kept it. And I think that's really important. But there's a lot of things that they can continue to get better at. We'll assess that over Christmas break a little bit. And, we self-scout all the time, but we'll do even more of it the next couple of days because we're trying to get our preparations ready in-house, not with the team, but for the upcoming games after the break. But I think this team has just continued to improve.
You talked about it a lot the last couple of years, just accountability and sort of player-driven practices, player-led workouts and things like that. Is that kind of what you're seeing now through 11 games, through a couple months of the season? Are you seeing that at the level you want to?
Oh, we've been seeing that, though, since the spring. So I think that's what's really been good. It's just been a carryover. So, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's they want to improve, and they're not afraid to have tough practices, and they respond to challenges. And again, it's that team unity. Today, they were very, very good at correcting others, and if a guy didn't draw a charge, there might have been 8 or 9 of them, stepping up and saying something. I mean, that's when you know they're really locked in. I think that's important. There's not a disrespect, or they don't get agitated as much as they don't tolerate, a lot of mistakes. And I think that's why it's important that, as I told them, they don't come in here and try to trick each other. They just come in and they keep getting better, and I think that's really important, and especially as you go up the ladder.
From a chemistry standpoint, when you are recruiting, how much does personality and how, guys, you figure these guys will just get along, how much does that play into it? I mean,
Well, it plays into it, but they got to go through tough things together. And there's no question we've gone through a lot of tough things here. So that's either going to cause you to really get along and bond together and want to get things done, or it's going to pull you apart. So I think recruiting and saying, okay, well, we're going to have great chemistry with this group. I don't think there's any way to know. I mean, you've got to get everybody on the same page, and that takes time. But if you've got people that have good character, if you have people that have a high level of intelligence, if you have people that are competitive, and if you have people that have an athletic upside, and then you can help them. But I think when you've got a team of guys that really want to win, you'll have some friction inside of it, but what you'll do is you'll come together even more. And I sense this group of guys really trying to put winning first and what it takes to win first. And I think that's when you know your program is really moving in the right direction.
without naming names, have there been guys that you've recruited that are really talented, but you realize that this guy just wouldn't fit on the team very well?
That we've signed?
Not, that, just
Not
that
yet,
you.
both. There's some that you recruit and there's some that you sign. The old adage, if it's not the ones that you don't get, it's the ones you get that can't play or can't help you win that hurt you. And that happens. Yeah, that happens. I mean, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. And the whole key is to make sure that you don't repeat the same mistake twice as much as possible.
Tom, the art of recruiting, the 2012 class is highly rated, obviously with Cody's highly rated. Yet in Victor and Will's class, the perception was there wasn't a strong class, but you're getting tremendous production from that. What was it that you saw about those two that wanted you to sign them?
Excellent people. And we knew Victor longer than we knew Will. But people that are around him that we trusted, and high level of athleticism, edge, guys that have a little edge to them, which I think is really, really important. They've won. So all those things really played into it. And again, I've said this so many times here, but if we were going on recruiting rankings, we'd have never signed Dwayne Wade back at Marquette. So recruiting rankings are good, and I follow them. Well, as much anymore since we can't read them. But I think it's important that you see where guys stack up against others, but I don't think it's what you base your decisions on. I think it's just part of the process. I think figuring out who really fits and who's got those attributes, who has a high level of athletic upside, who's got intelligence, who's got character, and who has a competitive mindset. And to me, that's where that edge comes in. And so, you want guys that have been maybe overlooked or underrated, not invited to this or that, because the last thing you want in recruiting, and it's so hard, but you have to just make sure that you're not getting entitled, enabled people, and we've all done that too, but entitled, enabled people get you beat at big time, and so you want to try to stay away from that as much as possible, and sometimes you got to peel the onion back and really look at the layers a little bit to see, what's really true, what's not, and then make your own decision accordingly.
What's your take on the way you guys have shot the three? You lead the country in it, and it's been pretty consistent. What are the factors that have really led to that kind of consistency?
I think we have good shooters. I think spacing. I think these guys spend a lot of time shooting the ball. I think that they're open to their technique being corrected, and we get a lot of reps. And Cook Hall is a part of that. I don't think there's any question when you have the ability to come back in for that. I think the fact that we have so many different guys that can shoot the ball, there's a respect level of making the next pass. So I think that's a part of it. And I think we've got, I think you're going to see Cody Zeller making shots that you haven't seen him make yet, because he's got it in him. And it just becomes a comfort level thing. And we spend a lot of time at that part of it, but I think that's the development part of it, of really making it crucial in your practices, but them spending a lot of time in it on their own.
You guys have allowed an average of 17.5 first half points in the last two games, dating back maybe more to Marquette and IU, I guess. Is this the toughest defensive toughest defensive mindset you've seen one of your teams have since you've been a head coach?
No, but I wouldn't go back and compare it, but no, it's moving forward, but it's there's no question we can get better defensively. We got a lot better defensively from the Kentucky game to the Notre Dame game. There's a lot of room for improvement. So it really starts. Team defense covers so many areas. It's your on the ball, it's your weak side, rotations. We try to stay as fundamental as we can. Like even today, I mean, there's a lot of shell drill defense. So, no, we're not anywhere near that yet.
Going off that, then what has been improved from this point now since the beginning of the season?
Oh, I think even though it's been fairly consistent, not incredibly consistent, is our help side defense. But our transition defense has been much better. Our activity, our ball pressure, the deflections. Now this team's got a chance to be the best deflection team I've ever coached. But we've got to keep that up. But they've got very good activity. And again, I think our defense won't, it's just like our offense, we've got to get our depth to where there's really not much of a drop-off when we go to the bench, in the sense of there may be a difference in talent level, but there can't be a difference in execution and effort level. And I think those things are important. But our post defense is getting better. We've been a lot better about not fouling as much. So all those things have definitely improved.
What did you think of the zones, I guess, when you went back and watched tape of the 1-3, 1-2-3, and all the kind of things you sort of not experimented with, but really using the game?
It was good to do it in game action. Our communication was pretty good. Our rotations were solid, and we've got to get better, definitely blocking out those areas and those different defenses.
Is there anything else you want to experiment with between, if you
Well,
get
it's
a
not
chance?
as much of an experiment as it is things that are in the bag. Although there'll be definitely things we'll add this season, but I wouldn't try it in a game. Those are all things we've done. So as far as adding things, we had things added for Kentucky that we never went to. And as far as adding things, I would never put something out in a game just to throw it out there and give it away. I'd save it for practice and then try to use it inside of a game somewhere. But there'll be definitely things that we'll add. But again, our defenses all start by, how the fundamentals of them, and how good the shell defense is and how good the rotations are and all those kind of things.
How much further along is your depth than it has been in the last few seasons?
Oh, there's no question. There's no question about that. But where it needs to be to compete at the highest level, that's where we've got to get better. I mean, there's no question. But again, it's 11 games in with 12 coming tomorrow night. There's a lot of room for improvement. I mean, there's a lot of room for improvement, and I think we're getting better. But there's room for improvement in so many areas. And what's happening is we're really getting a good feel for who is bringing what to the table. So if certain things aren't there, you can really see it. Like, you really can tell when if a guy's not as locked in as he needs to be defensively based on the way he's coming across screens. And is he standing up on the weak side? Is he hugged up? Is he behind the man rather than up and above him, anticipating? The thing to me that shows focus and upside for where you can get better is how alert and aware you are. So, but that's where our depth has got to continue to do that.
How important is this stretch when you've got some games where maybe you can rotate a little bit more, and also you've got guys that basically full attention span, there's no school, they're just kind of locked into basketball?
Oh, I think it's harder this time of year. I think it's harder when they have less to do. Body rhythms change and body clocks, and then it'll get even harder when they come back up. I know some coaches like the whole aspect of 2-a-days and 3-a-days, and I've been down that road too, but I'm not that big on that. I'm not big on consuming their time just for the sake of consuming it. And it's hard to get into a rhythm right now and then go away for Christmas. And I'm glad we're doing it, because I thought it was just terrible last year that we didn't get a break for Christmas. But there's always more to life than our jobs and their responsibilities in basketball. I think what you want is when they're here, you want them to be absolutely locked in 100% to what they're doing. And even when they're away, they're talking about it. They may not be quizzing each other over the scouting report. They're drawing up plays in their apartment. But if they're talking about it, that's really good. And you want them to anticipate and be anxious and excited about getting to the gym. So those things are important. I've changed my belief on that. When I read about coaches going 2-a-days and 3-a-days and 4 days constantly, I'm not into that. Now we'll come back tonight and we'll shoot free throws and we'll go over the scouting report and film, just like we're going to do right now. But And I'm sure we'll do 2 days a little bit when we come right back, just because we'll have to get our conditioning where it needs to be again. But I want them to have a normal life too. I think it's better for them.
Do you
More
get-
focused when they get here.
Do you give yourself a day break during Christmas?
Well, yeah, I'll be with my family, but I'm going to recruit. I'm going to recruit tonight. I'm going to recruit all day Friday. So then we can't recruit.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I mean, it's. But you tell them you don't want to take a breath. Well, you can't take a breath. It's just the way that it is. It sounds like a corny cliche, but that's the way that it is. You just keep going. It's a fun group to be around.
Is this typically a week, I mean, going back for all the years you've been coaching, is this typically a week where you really kind of have to stay on guys when it's this close to Christmas and it's right after?
Absolutely.
And is this group any better at being honed in than ones you've had?
They sure have been. They have been. There's no question about that. There's no question about that. And our thing tomorrow night is let's not come out here to get through it and to have a workmanlike attitude, and let's come out here and be really, really good. Because it's going to be hard to duplicate what they did the other night. I mean, they were really good. Okay, but they enjoyed it. And you want them to enjoy it. And I think when you come in and you have the proper, but that doesn't happen it 10 minutes before game time. It doesn't happen an hour before game time. It's the buildup of it. It's the lead up. And if they're not enjoying where they're going with this team right now, there'd be something wrong with them. But I don't, I'm telling you, after last week, after those couple practices before Notre Dame, I wasn't really concerned about anything. But again, if you're going to continue to build your team, you guys know what the best friend a coach can have is that bench. And it's just there. It's always sitting there. It's just lurking there. And you got to make sure that the guys know it. There's no free passes on coming out here with poor effort. And that's why building depth constantly for me is as key as making sure that your best players are improving.
You mentioned the other night you wanted to give Austin more time.
Which guy? I'm sorry.
Austin. You mentioned wanting to get him more time. Is it important to you?
I want to get everybody more time in a sense of based on what they earn and deserve. And there's no question we want to get Austin more time and Remy more time. And they've got to continue to have consistent practices. I mean, very consistent practices. I mean, they're in the mix now where there's really not many surprises. So they've got to come out, and then there's certain objectives that have to be met, inside of that. You can't come out and be quiet. You can't come out and be in the wrong place. And you want to be active. And you want them to come out with confidence, but at the same time, they don't gain a lot of confidence if they're not playing quality minutes. So it's always a catch-22. So you want to make sure you're as tough on them in practice for them to understand, what has to be done and how it's going to carry over for them. And then try to put them in as many situations as you can, where they're out with the other guys that, will help them inside of the game. So I don't want a wholesale sub. I don't want to sub just for the sake of subbing. I want to make sure that we're getting guys quality minutes and that there's always a plan for that down the road. Even though they may not see it, but there's a plan to have that come. I think Austin's going to be crucial because we're not going to have Derek tomorrow night. So, I mean, and it's stuff comes up. You're always dealing with different things. So it's next man up, ready on demand, whatever you want to call it. It's really, really important. And Austin and Remy are in the same situation. Okay, they'll be in here in a few minutes. Thanks.